Despina Nicola from Dare to Begin Life Coaching, and I'd like to welcome you all and thank you so much for joining. Today we're looking at relationships and how we are living in a culture that is very much interested in our instant gratification and self-centeredness, and so and it's about me, and so I want to look at today how to create a true connection with another person, or it might be your family, it might be your loved one, your partner, it might be your colleagues at work, your children, whatever. And so we're going to be looking at how to create a relationship with a better relationship with people. Now, we actually deposit into our relationship. We deposit like into a big glass jar. We put like our emotions, like the things, the experiences we have, we deposit. It's like an emotional account, okay? And by putting more emotions or marbles into this jar, we commit more and we gain love and trust, and we invest in our relationships. But in the society we're living in, it hasn't become easy, because many relationships are built on fake, on people just swiping left if they don't like you, right if they like you, clicking buttons, and our bonds are formed with like love signs and like just emojis, different, and it's savoring our real connection to one another. It's so fake, it's on screens and virtual connection, and we are leaving relationships behind. We are so indifferent to each other, and especially in romantic relationships where we should be really investing everything we've got into them. But the age we're living on, there's so many distractions, temptations with social media, like this digital age. It makes us steer away from the true bond, and and we're measuring like the emojis, we're measuring our self-worth with emojis, and this is just terrible. I think the truth behind all of love, I think, is nurture, is to nurture our relationship and commit and show, be genuine, show that you want to have a genuine connection with each other, and not be consumed with me, like but be concerned about altruistically giving to your partner. And through this, I want to tell you a story about a man who was with his wife, and because his wife, over the relationship, she started to become quite fragile, and she was busy working, looking after the child, looking after the house, and he wasn't spending time with her, and she was busy as well. And one day he came up to her, and he was contemplating a divorce, and it was so easy, because they hadn't been connected. There was no emotional bank account behind them. It was so easy for him to ask for a divorce, and this woman, she was shocked. She was shocked because I know she had become quite fragile and quite distant, but she didn't expect him to come to her with a divorce. This woman, she pleaded for him to give her two things. The first thing, which was quite unusual, was not money, neither was the second. She pleaded him amongst all her pain. She asked for him not to tell their daughter, who was going through a time of struggling at school, and she didn't want her to have the pressure of the divorce and her exams at school. And the second thing, she wanted him to carry her into her bedroom every night at 9:30. Now, two simple requests. One, that their daughter didn't know, and the second, to be carried into the bedroom every night. It sounds simple, but it's actually, the meaning is quite profound, because what it means is, by carrying her, he was physically becoming attached to her, connecting to her, and the act of picking her up and holding her in his arm every night, the memories started to come back of when they met, how he picked her up, how he carried her over the doorstep when they got married, how when she broke her heel on the first day of going out, he picked her up and took her into the restaurant, how he carried her into the hospital when her waters broke. So this act of physically picking her up and holding her in his arms, that connection started to rekindle emotions, memories, love back. And he started to regret. He started to feel a little bit vulnerable, and sort of start to bridge that gap that they had. And it was through that vulnerability and uncomfortableness that he started growing and in love with her. The relationship started to be rekindled. Now, this is not just about romance, because it's showing how relationships should be built on resilience, understanding, and compromising. And even though relationships are demanding, it's so important to have that emotional and physical connection, that picking up, that holding, that physical touch. It's just so important. It's not just a one-time investment. Relationships are not. You can't just deposit once into the relationship. It should be an everyday deposit of love. That's what it's about, and understanding and patience. Now, society, through social media, through, it's all self-centered. It's all about our self-worth and how entitled we are. Like, we're number one, we're princesses, or we're this and that. But our capacity to build long-lasting relationship means to praise the other person too. It's not just about us. It's about being there for the other person and being responsible and asking for help and asking for commitment. And it does require a lot of effort. It does require a lot of effort, and it's uncomfortable. But it's in those vulnerable moments that we grow. Now, I just want to go back to the story. It didn't end there. After the 7 days were up, the husband started to fall in love with his wife again. he started to become quite attached to her, and he wanted to end the other relationship he had. He came rushing home one day. He stopped by at the florist, bought her a big bouquet of flowers, and when he got home, she was lying in bed, and there was a letter next to her. He read the letter, and the letter was to him to express her love, her love to him, the gratitude and everything. But she had actually passed away. She had been battling with cancer, and she had kept it quiet from everybody so she wouldn't burden the family. And that's why she was so fragile, and that's why she asked for two things: for her daughter not to know that they were going for a divorce, for her daughter to be able to love the father and not see him as a cheat, because that's who would be responsible for her for the rest of her life. And also she wanted to her husband, just that bond, so he wouldn't feel guilty when she passed. We are tempted daily with self-absorption, entitlement and everything, and we think that the grass is greener on the other side. But when we invest into our partners, into our relationship, we can change its projection. We can change where it's going, and we can bring it back, and we can restore the memories. We can restore the promise that we made in a relationship to each other. And the thing is that we are all silently fighting our demons daily. But once we realize that there is love, there is gratitude there, and there is lessons and there is growth in a relationship, and we must care for each other and devote ourselves to each other. And we can face adversity. We can stand in a relationship and reclaim what we think we have lost, because it's not lost. It's just in a little drawer that we can open up, and we are in a relationship because we made a commitment, but we have to take that responsibility to take that commitment further, and sometimes compromise and be compassionate and have patience, which is difficult in this day and age, and nurture each other and go through the hardships together and embrace the truth and the authenticity of connections. And we have to dare to be different and not follow the norm. We have to dare to invest in each other and in our relation, and in ourselves and in each other. And we can treasure every moment that we have, because we do matter. Everybody matters. Yeah. So we are truly special, and we can get through the dark times. I so appreciate you watching. Now, I just want to say, please join my Facebook group, Dare to Begin Life Coaching, and also we've got a lovely website. It's called DespinaNicola.com. There are heaps of articles, heaps of podcasts. Yep, you can find a lot of information there. Thank you so much for watching. Next week we're going to be looking at the personal relationships with ourselves. So we looked at the relationships we have with children, the relationships that we have with our partners, and next week it's going to be about looking inwards to ourselves. Despina Nicola signing off. Remember to live your lives, okay? And get out there and be bold, be brave, be resilient, and be vulnerable as well. And just peace, love, and rainbows. Till next week. Love you lots. Bye.